My definition of self-care are the combination of practices that I try and do every day that ultimately mean that I can rise up to the day. Once they're done and in place, I at least feel like I can get on with things, and on a super positive day, maybe that I could take on the world. When it comes to how often, I'm talking most weekdays, because not because self-care is a job at the weekend, but I just feel I have less to prepare myself for. When I have a nice sleep in, that tends to do what it needs to do on a Saturday. For me, it's about really creating the conditions to feel all right. So I have experienced anxiety in my life, so I'm not necessarily looking to feel absolutely optimum and be running through a meadow, punching the air, like screaming with enthusiasm. It's around just feeling all right so that I can, be the best I can be, really. So the practices come into that through the day. First thing is, and this sounds so boring and obvious, but I have breakfast. I am new to breakfast. Breakfast and I have been dating each other for about 2 years now. Before then, I was living on caffeine and adrenaline, eating or sustaining myself late morning when I wondered why I had a headache. Well, I've not eaten since I got up. So having breakfast is a non-negotiable for me. Next, again, with the creating the conditions to look after myself is, especially if I've got a pretty intense work day, is making sure that my environment feels really inviting. So I might light some incense, light some really over-the-top Elton John candles, yes, the best ones, and just make my desk space a really lovely place to be dwelling or to be seeing my clients, because I see a lot of my clients through Skype or like online. And then another thing to add to that is, in between those sessions or in between doing what I'm doing, it's making sure that I'm kind of looking after my nervous system. And one of the ways that I've recently started doing so in the last year or so is I listen to solfeggio rhythms. That is, if you go onto Spotify, you can find like healing music or music that is attuned to a certain hertz, like 432 hertz, which is the vibration that Earth vibrates at, if you can get your head around that. And there are these sounds and music which are attuned to that, and it's really like it's not as good as being in a sound bath, but what it does is it really just calms everything about my nervous system. It slows down my thoughts, allows me to make time stretchy. So what that means is I'll perhaps be sitting down to a pretty meaty to-do list thinking, right, here I go. And then I'll finish it and I'll only been doing it for 10 minutes. So I'm like, wow, it's like the potency of what those solfeggio rhythms bring out for me is really unexpected, but a big part of my self-care now, because it allows me to just take my time and not feel like I've got to rush, which again goes back to self-care. I think what's really important is just finding a starting point and seeing how you get on imperfectly. So for example, it might be that you have a self-care routine for when you get in from work or from the gym or from the office or taking the kids to school, whatever it is. The minute you kind of get into your home, what can you do to create a really lovely environment for yourself? Even if that means not putting on the big lights and taking a moment to light a candle, maybe say some gratitude, wash your hands and your face, put on some relaxing music, back to those rhythms again, and just allow yourself to come into the space, leaving the day that was behind you. So that's something that we can do, and that can become a really good habit, as in like, well, I'm home and this is what I have to do, so we don't even have to think about it. But then we can also explore other ways that we can implement self-care every day and that doesn't take a lot of effort as well, and that is things like saying no more often. So, or giving yourself the opportunity to not have to make decisions quickly. We live in a world where we have lots of great opportunities to spend our time doing lots of different things. But if we say yes to all of it, we're saying no to ourselves a lot. So a big part of self-care is also saying no thank you and being clear on that too, because then we get all that time and energy back to ourselves. So in the book, there are lots of different tools and practices that you can try to boost your self-care routine, whether you're a beginner or you're really, really advanced, and this is already part of how you live your life. One of the ones that I would recommend, which can make a really big difference, is plan your Sundays on a Wednesday or Thursday. Reason being, Sunday afternoons can be where we need to care for ourselves the most. We might be tired from what's been a busy weekend and different obligations, or we might be starting to borrow from Monday already, and in doing so, not enjoying the rest of our weekend. So choose something that feels really good and really nourishing for you to do, whether that's inside or outside, on the Sunday afternoon and evening, so that you're getting that top up in before Monday even gets a look in. So it might be things like planning to cook something delicious at home you haven't tried before. It might be making a playlist of meditations off YouTube. It could be, I don't know, doing some online shopping, whatever it is, but do something which sets you up for the week ahead and keeps you very much in control and gripped on your own time, rather than letting things kind of get on top of you.